Kind of weird, at least to me. I guess it shouldn't be weird, but all of a sudden, Tristan, in the last couple of days, your Cleveland Browns have restructured not one, not two, but three players in Myles Garrett, which was kind of obvious because he's a huge, huge contract, but also David Njoku and Joel Bitonio. So the Browns currently now are by far number one in the NFL as far as cap for this season, at 37 million. So there's a couple ways we can take this, but just right off the bat, what are you thinking about this, Tristan? Are you thinking this is it just rollover? Do you think there's something cooking? What are you thinking here?
Um, well, here's what I think this is. Obviously, we had already had Watson's contract restructured, but that was way before the offseason even began. So, it really doesn't factor into this. This is more specific as to speculation. Like, or what are we looking at doing with this cap space? What is the thought process behind this? And for me, I look at this and, um, there's a movie that if you have TikTok, it's kind of like clips are going around about it called Facing the Giants. And it's a pretty good
Is it
movie. I
the
recommend it. It's a
is it
watch.
the kid who goes blind? He's the receiver.
No,
No. Okay,
no, not
that
that
one
one.
was all over my
No.
TikTok this morning.
Oh, okay. Well, this
Well,
one's been all over my TikTok and I've seen it before. And there's a quote in there that, it is a somewhat religious movie as well. And it's base premises around football and God. And one of the quotes in there was, uh, you know, in order for, it was a longer story, but pretty much the premise was, are your fields prepared for water, right?
hmm.
And a farmer, was complaining he wasn't getting rain, and uh, once when the rain came, he was not ready for it and didn't make the most of it. And so the way I see this Cleveland Browns, what this move is for the Browns is they're preparing the fields for rain. And by that, what I mean is they are preparing for if a move becomes available, if something becomes available this season, they now have the cap space to do whatever they need to do to make this team a championship contender. I don't think this signals us going out and getting Aaron Donald right
Okay,
now.
I
I
was just
really
about to
don't think
say,
so.
yeah, that's been
Um,
crazy on
you
Twitter.
know, maybe it's kind of like what the Rams did with Von Miller with acquiring him mid-season at the trade deadline. Maybe we're doing making moves for that because we know this team right now, there's no major holes, no major weaknesses, but of course injuries change everything. So the way I see this is Andrew Berry is preemptively opening up this cap space, and it's saying to me, if this team is good enough, we are going to do something at the trade deadline. And by something, I mean a lot of things. Because if Andrew Berry feels at the trade deadline that this team is good enough to win the Super Bowl, I feel like that cap space is going to be suctioned up. However, you might be saying, well, Tristan, why would they do that for this season? There's further cap implications in further years. It doesn't make sense. They have to have something planned. Well, not necessarily, because there is certain cap, and I don't know these cap stipulations like the back of my hand, but there are certain benefits of doing something like this where your amount of cap space that you don't use the season before rolls over to the next season, and that's how much you can go over without penalties. And it's allowed that way under the current cap rules. At least that's how I interpreted it. Probably something, if you guys have questions about, definitely tweet Jack Duffin.
Yeah, not us. Not us.
Because
We're the wrong
yeah,
people to
not us.
talk to
No,
about money.
exactly. But it's something that I look at and I say, you know, it makes me excited because while I don't think we're going to do anything right now, it at least shows me that even though we have outspent every team in the NFL, and right now we are outspending every team. I think it's by like
Mhm.
$50 million. Like Jimmy Haslam, say what you want about his ownership. It's been hectic and it's been chaotic, but right now he is investing in this team and he wants to win flat out. And it's showing by the amount of money he's willing to put into this football team. And you know what? I got to say, as a fan, that's all you can ask your owner to do is provide the funds, let the football people do the football things. In the past, maybe he wasn't doing that, but
Mhm.
it seems like now he is. Um, and I got to say, like, it's definitely going to make us an interesting team to keep an eye on. At any moment, we could make a move that completely shifts the outlook of our team, that adds a whole nother level a whole nother dynamic level to our team, and there's no restrictions with us now. We don't have like that hand around our throat saying like you can only breathe so much. Like we have a loose leash,
Mhm.
and it's exciting to see. Derek, we talked about Aaron Donald. Uh,
Not that one.
is Aaron Donald coming to Cleveland? Is,
No.
is Aaron Donald coming to Cleveland?
No. If DeAndre Hopkins wasn't coming to Cleveland, Aaron Donald for sure is not coming to Cleveland. I can't see it. It's fun. It's a fun thing to talk about, but boy, oh boy, is that a ridiculous one. I mean, it is just not happening.
Yeah. The only other thing I'll add to that is it's almost impossible to convince Aaron Donald to come right now.
Hmm.
But if we're winning and by mid-season we're looking really good and the Rams are not, it's a lot easier to convince him. So take that as you will. I'm not saying we're never getting Aaron Donald. It's a possibility, but yeah, not right now.
I just think I think it's impossible. Um, Mostly just because of trade wise. What do the Browns have that we can afford to give the Rams that would finalize that deal? I mean, look at the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers might play what, two, three, maybe max more years, unless they win the Super Bowl this year or something like that crazy happens. Then it could just be a 1 year thing. But it's kind of it's a different position. But Aaron Donald is such a influential and game changing player that it's kind of the same thing. Where if he is even being talked about in trade, what is that going to be? Because he could easily retire. I mean, it's just, it's too much for me to even try to wrap my mind around it. That's how I feel about that one. Um, but I agree with you. I think that, restructuring all these guys, for the most part, to me, it just comes down to a rollover. I think that's what it is. I think it's a rollover. Everybody that I've talked to, says that basically that it's a rollover. But I didn't think about what you mentioned there at the trade deadline. And we're going to get into this here in a second, or maybe this is a perfect transition. If I knew what I was doing here, I would know that. But nevertheless, um, I think that the idea that you have some money to play around with at the trade deadline, that gets me excited. And here's the transition for you. Looking at the preseason so far and looking at training camp, I'm telling you right now, um, I've said a lot of things in the past. I've said a lot of things about Baker and a lot of things about other players where it's like you should be hyped about these guys. You should be hyped about this team. This is the first time, and I don't know if it's just because this is the first time that it's kind of clicking with me, maybe versus in the past it was just mostly hope. I'm telling you right now, this is a special football team. And more specifically, the defensive side of the ball. And yes, again, preseason, yes, camp. But I'm telling you right now, the Cleveland Browns will have a top three defense this year. Top three, not top five, not top 10, top three. Because what I saw, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just an idiot, but what I saw on that Friday night, what I remember of it, blows my mind because I'm telling you right now, dude, Zadarius Smith is a bigger monster than we even think. right? We do not understand yet what we have with Zadarius Smith. I saw that, man, where we got the safety on the goal line there. I saw him fly off the ball so fast that I couldn't even comprehend like how he got around the edge that fast. Like it completely changed my mind on like how I view prospects. Just that one moment. He was so fast, so quick, and dude, Miles Garrett did not play that game. And I'm not basing my opinion just off of that game, but I'm just telling you what I've seen and what we've seen in camp and how it's translating. The Philadelphia Eagles have a damn good offensive line. All I heard all that week, and Tristan, I know you did too, was the Browns defensive line is dominating the Eagles offensive line. Um, hello. The Eagles are a top 3 offensive line, would you say?
They there have been I've seen rankings where they've actually been put ahead of
Yeah.
us, like number
Yeah.
1 in the NFL. Like that's a damn. You
Mhm.
said it yourself. It's a damn good offensive
Mhm.
line.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I mean Jason Kelsey even admitted it.
yeah.
Jason Kelsey even said like those guys, like we've gotten our licks at them in practice. So sorry, keep
No,
going.
no, no,
I'm
you're
loving what
good.
you're saying right now.
My point is though, dude, that's against them, and that's every day of the week, and that's not like one game, right? It's one thing to just play in one game and you're not really used to what you're up against, whatever. This is every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever, of getting reps against the same guys, the same players, and the defensive line continuously dominated. And I want to point out one thing here. I don't want to tie everything together. I mean, we're talking about the Browns, so it all ties together. But man, Shelby Harris is he is the perfect glue to the internal or the yeah, the internal part of this defensive line because a couple things here. One observation from that game in person. Dalvin Tomlinson and Siaki Ika might as well be clones of each other as far as size goes. I mean, they are the exact same size, the exact same build. I said this on one of the Dogs pod videos I did, but if you guys don't know who Rikishi is, the professional wrestler, go look go look up Rikishi. That is exactly what Siaki Ika looks like in shoulder pads. And I'm not saying because they're both Samoan or whatever. It's not that. The lower half, it's unreal. I mean, it is unreal. If Siaki Ika fails in the NFL, he's got to go to the WWE. I mean, he has to. The role's right there. It's perfect. But anyway,
Yeah,
my point being with that,
yeah.
before I go out on a tangent, uh, Shelby Harris, right? So now your two starters are Dalvin Tomlinson and Shelby Harris for sure. I mean, those are locks. Those two are starting. But, but if Tomlinson needs to come out, you can put Ika in, and I don't want to say you're not going to skip a beat because I don't necessarily believe that, but it will be the same type of player, and you're not going to have to change the scheme. Second of all, if Shelby Harris needs to come out, the guy that we talked about the last episode that we did, um, I'm an idiot. I'm forgetting his name. Maurice Hurst. Maurice
Hmm.
Hurst is a stud. He's a stud. He can come
What did
in,
I
dude.
tell you?
Oh, I know.
What did I
Oh, I
tell
know,
you?
dude.
I told you that man. He was
Hmm.
talented and out of college. He's always just had a rough go of it. He's so good. But yeah, no,
No,
keep going though.
it's
Keep going.
it's just health. That's the thing. If he can stay healthy, the four guys that you have on that internal defensive line is unreal, and you can keep them fresh because that's my big point here. They're the same types of players. One is older, one's a rookie. Uh, one's older, one's not a rookie, but one is, not been in the NFL a whole lot and is kind of an unknown. You have depth on the internal defensive line. And on the flip side, I just talked about Zadarius Smith, but Okoronkwo, same thing, flying around fast. That's your three. That's your third guy. Third. And we're not even talking about McGuire. We're not talking about Wright when he's healthy or Isaiah Thomas. Dude, I'm telling you, that defensive line is insane. It's gonna be insane. And last thing I'll say before I'll let you touch on this one if you want, um, enjoy it. I'm telling you right now, we have Zadarius Smith for 1 year, 1 season. I still, no matter how good he plays, I still think it's a 1 year rental, unfortunately. But Browns fans, for the love of God, please listen to me when I tell you, enjoy this defense, enjoy this season, and enjoy this defensive line, because this is something that we have not seen for a long, long, long time. And I don't know. I mean, I still think we're going to be good past next year defensively, but this year's going to be special. This year's going to be really special. So we could go on for hours about this, but Tristan, just anything I said there that you want to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, just like the versatility of this defensive line
Mm-hmm.
and the versatility because of the depth of this defensive line is just so mind boggling. Like, honestly, like we took something that was undoubtedly a huge weakness for us last season. This
Mm-hmm.
defensive line was the downfall of the defense, arguably. Like, you could argue that because of this defensive line, the rest of the system just was never going to function. And now you look at it and you go, this defense, right? Like, there's so many different ways that we could line up. Like, imagine if we decide to go 5-2, five guys on the line, two linebackers. You're talking from left to right. Myles Garrett, Dalvin Tomlinson, Siaki Ika, Shelby Harris, and oh my god, you just said his name.
Zadarius
I'm
Smith.
losing it. Za'Darius
There you go.
Smith. Like, that is of five men who are so big and ginormous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like would a team even get a yard
No.
rushing?
No.
Like no, it's not happening. Like, and to think like that's something that we could realistically see that exact package a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe swap out Ika for Hurst. I don't care, because Hurst has been balling in camp,
Oh, he's been
and
great.
he
Yeah.
he had he had a mediocre, probably less than so Hall of Fame game, but outside of that, like,
The
man,
last
when
two.
he's one on one,
Mm-hmm.
when he's one on one, like, man, there's not a lot of guys that can block him. And when we look at the depth at edge, when we look at the depth at D tackle, when we look at how the linebacking core has been performing in years past when it's been healthy, and the depth and talent that's coming up through it now, and the potential it has, our front seven, I feel really, really good about. And if it weren't for and honestly, I might even feel better in our front seven than I do our secondary, which is so insane to say, because you look at our secondary and the depth that we have at corner and now at safety, like, man, it's so impressive. I think Jim Schwartz, after this offseason, has probably been like foaming at the mouth. Like, when am I playing regular
Mm-hmm.
season football? When can I have Myles Garrett next to Sheldon Richardson, next to Shelby Harris, next to Zadarius Smith? Like, when can I have that? And
I
and
didn't know Richardson was
I
back, but I ain't mad at that either.
oh, fuck
You're
off.
good. You're good. I'm just saying. I'm just
Um
saying.
anyways, anyways.
Wouldn't that be great though? Add Sheldon
Oh, it would.
Richardson to this defensive line. Oh,
Yes.
it's over.
Dalvin Tomlinson. They're the
Oh
same.
yeah.
Let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Let's be honest. No, but
You're good.
in also, I did want to add on in regards to the difference between Ika and Dalvin Tomlinson. Uh, Dalvin Tomlinson has a bit more to his pass rush
Mm-hmm.
than Siaki Ika, but Siaki Ika is coming into the NFL already like an average to above average run stopper, which is great because you can build that pass technique, because Jim Schwartz is known to develop that in D tackles. Yeah, I'm really excited, and I can't wait for that defense to ball out. But Derek,
Mm-hmm.
lead us into our next topic.
Well, so continuing, I want to continue here because this is probably going to be the meat and